Maniac Magee, written by Jerry Spinelli. We know the character's real name is Jeffrey, but now he's Maniac Magee. Maniac Magee. Maniac Magee.
Maniac Magee.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You guys caught me again. Singing along. Good morning, sixth graders of Respect Academy. We are now on chapter 23, which is on page 84. So turn to 84. Make sure your eyes are on the page. That's how you get classwork credit. 84. Grayson is the character who just found Maniac in a buffalo habitat and kind of nursed him back to health. And they're off to get crimpets. Grayson got the crimpets all right. He bought a whole box of 3 packs. With 10 packs to a box, that was 30 butterscotch crimpets. Maniac thought he must have climbed out of that buffalo pen right into heaven. Then Grayson took Maniac home. Home for the old man was the 2 Mills YMCA. He lived in a room on the 3rd floor. But he didn't take Maniac up there. He took him downstairs to the locker room. He got him a towel and a cake of soap. He told him to take off his rags, and he pointed the way to the showers. Maniac stayed in the shower for an hour. He hadn't done this since his last bath with the little ones. He smiled at the thought of them, shrieking and splashing. The shower needle stung his scratches, but it was a good welcome back to town stinging. When Maniac finally forced himself from the shower, he found the old man waiting with clothes. Grayson's clothes. "I called the U.S. Army in to haul them buffalo rags away," he said. "They come in with gas masks on, and they use tongs to pick 'em up. And they put 'em in a steel box. And they took the box away to bury it at the bottom of the first mine shaft they come to." Maniac couldn't stop laughing. Neither could Grayson, especially when he got a load of the kid drowning in his clothes. An hour later, after a minor shopping spree, Maniac had clothes of his own. For the rest of the afternoon, they cruised around town, talking and eating crimpets. "So," said the old man, "now what are you going to do?" Maniac thought it over. "How about a job? I could work for the park, like you." Grayson didn't answer that. He said, "Where do you think you're going to stay?" Maniac's answer was prompt. "The baseball room. It's perfect." A tiny idea was beginning to worm its way into Grayson's head. He could barely feel it as it brushed by all the claptrap in his brain. He ignored it. He said, "What about school?" Maniac was silent. Some butterscotch icing had stayed behind on a wrapper. He scooped it up and mopped it from his finger, wishing that it were Mrs. Beale's and not his own. Grayson, who was not comfortable asking questions, was even less comfortable waiting for answers. I said, what about school?" Maniac turned to him. "What about it? You gotta go. You're a kid, ain't you?" "I'm not going." "But you gotta. Don't you? They'll make you." "Not if they don't find me." The old man just looked at him for a while, with a mixture of puzzlement and recognition, as though the fish he had landed might be the same one he had thrown away long before. "Why?" he said. Maniac felt why more than he knew why. It had to do with homes and families and schools, and how a school seems sort of like a big home, but only a day home, because then it empties out, And you can't stay there at night because it's not really a home, and you could never use it as your address because an address is where you stay at night, where you walk right in the front door without knocking, where everybody talks to each other and uses the same toaster. So all the other kids would be heading for their homes, their night homes, each of them, hundreds, flocking from school like birds from a tree, a scattering across town, each breaking off to his or her own place, each knowing exactly where to land. School, home. No, he was not going to have one without the other. "If you try to make me," he said, "I'll just start running." Grayson said nothing. What the kid said actually made him feel good, though he had no idea why. And the brushing little worm of a notion was beginning to tickle him now. He kept on driving. We're now on page 87, chapter 24. They got back to the bandshell just as they finished the last of the crimpets. Grayson looked at his watch. "Guess it's time to quit the job I never did today. Time for dinner, too." Grayson was joking, but Maniac was serious when he piped, "Great, where to?" Dumbfounded, the old man drove back out of the park to the nearest diner, where he sat with a cup of coffee, while the boy wolfed down meatloaf and gravy, mashed potatoes, zucchini, salad, and coconut custard pie. Grayson had a way of jumping into a subject without warning. It was during Maniac's dessert that he abruptly said, "Them black people, they eat mashed potatoes too?" Maniac thought he was kidding. Then he realized he wasn't. "Sure, Mrs. Beale used to have potatoes a lot, mashed in every other way." "Mrs. who?" Page 88. "Mrs. Beale. Do you know the Beales of 728 Sycamore Street?" The old man shook his head. "Well, they were my family. I had a mother and a father and a little brother and a sister my age and a dog. My own room, too." Grayson stared out the diner window, as if digesting this information. "How about meatloaf?" "Huh? They eat that, too?" "Sure, meatloaf, too, and peas and corn. You name it." Excuse me. "Cake?" Maniac beamed. "Oh, man, you kidding? Mrs. Beale makes the best cakes in the world." Grayson's eyes narrowed. "Toothbrushes? They use them?" Maniac fought not to smile. "Absolutely. We had our toothbrushes hanging in the bathroom." "I know that," said Grayson, impatient. "But is theirs like the same as ours?" "No difference that I could see." "You didn't drink out of the same glass." "Absolutely we did." This information seemed to shock the old man. Maniac laid down his fork. "Grayson, they're just regular people like us." "I was never in a house of theirs." "Well, I'm telling you, it's the same. There's bathtubs and refrigerators and rugs and TVs and beds." Grayson was wagging his head. "Ain't that something? Ain't that just something?" It was after dark when they got back to the baseball equipment room. The worm in Grayson's head had long since ceased to be a tiny tickle. It was now a maddening itch. As with all such itch worms, it would exit by only one route, the mouth. He said, I was thinking, maybe you want to come over to my place. This here floor is pretty hard." He tapped his foot to show how hard. The grizzled, gray old park hand could never know how much Maniac was tempted, or how deeply the offer touched him. Neither could Maniac explain that the bad luck he always seemed to have with parents had led him to the conclusion that he'd better stick to himself. "Oh, it's not so bad here," he said. "Look." He lay down on the chest protectors and closed his eyes. "Ah, just like a mattress. I can feel myself dozing off already." And then, not wanting to hurt the old man's feelings, he quickly added, "Hey, I told you everything about me. How about you?" He pulled Grayson's coat over himself. "A bedtime story?" Grayson snorted. "Story? I don't know no stories." Sure you do. About yourself? You know about you. Everybody has a story. Not me. Grayson was edging for the door. I ain't got no story. I ain't nobody. I work at the park. You line baseball fields? Yep, I do that. You live at the Y, you drive the park pickup, you like butterscotch crimpets. Grayson shook his head. Not as much as you. I was just eating them to be friendly, so's you wouldn't have to eat them all by yourself. And there's another thing about you, Maniac joked. You're a liar. They both laughed. Grayson opened the door. Wait, Maniac called. What did you want to grow up to be when you were a kid? Grayson paused in the doorway. He looked out into the night. A baseball player, he said. He turned out the light, and he closed the door.
Maniac Magee, written by Jerry Spinelli. We know the character's real name is Jeffrey, but now he's Maniac Magee. Maniac Magee.